Of all the things that hang on the walls of my house, one of my favorites is this 160-year-old newspaper clipping of Lincoln's inauguration. And in his second inaugural address, he said, "Fondly do we hope, fervently do we pray, that this mighty scourge of war may speedily pass away. Yet, if God wills that it continue until all the wealth piled by the bondsman's 250 years of unrequited toil shall be sunk, and until every drop of blood drawn with the lash shall be paid by another drawn with the sword, as was said 3,000 years ago, so still it must be said, the judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether." Lincoln had a full understanding that 250 years of slavery was being repaid on the battlefields of America, with over 700,000 men dying on U.S. soil, the bloodiest battle this nation has ever seen. But why did it take 250 years to address the travesty of slavery? Most historians agree it was because of the inability of our founding fathers to properly address it. Abolitionists of the time, like John Adams, wanted one of two things. First and foremost, they wanted the slaves to be freed and fully recognized equally as people. But if they couldn't have that, they wanted the other end of the spectrum. They wanted the slaves to not be counted at all. However, the compromise that was struck in our Constitution counted slaves as 3/5 of a human. This stain in our Constitution caused the prolonging of slavery in this nation, and it enabled things like the election of Thomas Jefferson over John Adams as president in 1800, the Missouri Compromise, the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854. All of these things were because of the 3/5 counting. If we had taken a no-compromise stance in our Constitution, the issue of slavery would have been dealt with much sooner. I recently had a conversation with a friend who is supporting the new Amendment 3 while I am against it. And while we want the same goal of no more abortions, I realized our differences come down to the strategy and how to get there. I think we can take a page and learn from the lessons of history about the strategy that didn't work at the founding of our nation. The new Amendment 3 compromises in ways similar to the 3/5 in our Constitution. It keeps the door open for certain kinds of abortions, when if we would just address it fully, the door would be shut much faster. We are careening towards judgment in our state and in our nation, and we must address this issue fully before we get to another bloody Civil War event. I urge you to stand against the new Amendment 3 and to go back to the drawing board. Let's draft a more complete and correct correction to the issue of abortion in our state. Let's draft something that is uncompromising, like personhood, and ban it fully, rather than leaving the door open for compromise on abortion in Missouri. Please vote against Amendment 3.